I'm going to talk about this book, Sacketts Land. This is the first in the series of the Lamore Sacketts, and I'm getting a delay here. In 1600, you'd be surprised, people can still look for antiquities, and at that time it would have been the Roman antiquities. This takes place first in the Fens in the UK. It reminds me of the setting of a Sherlock Holmes book, and written before this, and then after this there was a fantasy book I was reading in the Fens that reminded me of this. I enjoy this type of historical novel. It's somewhat different than the later Sackett books that take place in the Old West in the U.S. Louis L'Amour had a lot of and did a lot of reading of history, so I'm thinking the setting at first is based on his knowledge and study of his family's genealogy and where they came from. Some of that in the UK. This takes place also in Virginia. It was at the time of the Virginia Dare Colony, and if you read about history, it's not 1620 in Plymouth Rock. There were other settlements before that, and notwithstanding the whole Spanish settlements, which go back to the late 1500s in the extreme southern U.S., like in California, Arizona, Texas, over to Florida. Those go back well into the earlier 1500s, in fact. And if you study your history, in the Virginia, there are Indian tribes in the Carolinas south, and Cape Hatteras is on a little map here. Cape Hatteras is where, if growing up in the east, a hurricane comes, if it makes it by Cape Hatteras without heading off to the east into the Atlantic, it's going to hit up north in New Jersey and into even New England. But there are friendly Indians and not so friendly Indians. There are various, more than one tribe in each category. Curiously, one of the friendly Indians and the Indian chief in this book, I believe it's fictitious Indian chief, but they were against the Spanish who had attacked them. That is not fictitious. That is part of history going back, because the Spanish, like I said, into the 1500s, and they would have warred with Indian tribes further north. I'm not sure how far north for sure, but north of Florida certainly. And again, in your history, the French or Spanish, the English, if they had tried settlements up and down what's now the east coast of America, their opponents also among the English, French, and Spanish, and even others, perhaps the Portuguese, but they would have tried to wreck these colonies, not wanting the other country to get a foothold and have the king or the queen make claim to large tracts of land. And this is almost 4 minutes. I have one more Louis L'Amour book, and I'll show it to you. I want to do at some point. I don't know when. This is a later Sacketts novel, and Mojave Crossing. I plan to do a video of that at some point. Be careful out there, folks.